Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am starting my TBRs for each shelf. I have, well, this one bookshelf here in North Dakota as well as a smaller one that's only 2 shelves, but as I've mentioned, I have a lot of books on my shelves that I have not yet read. Because of that, I decided that instead of doing a full bookshelf TBR, I was going to do it shelf by shelf so that you don't have to sit there for 25 minutes and I don't have to edit that because that just sounds god-awful. So this shelf is where I'm starting. As you can see, there were quite a few more books on this, and the ones that are not on the shelf are the ones that I have not read. Let's get started. The first one is A Cast of Stones by Patrick C. Carr. I don't know what this one is about. I think it's set in medieval England. That's all I got. As a side note, before we get too far into this, I don't know the plots of most of these because I've either bought them years ago or I bought them because I knew the author or the cover. I like the cover, whatever. So there's not going to be a whole lot of synopsis. I do apologize. Next one is The Shattered Court by M.J. Scott. This one came up as recommendations for those liking Mercedes Lackey, and I love Mercedes Lackey. So I thought, why not? There's magic in this, it's a fantasy book. Is The Mermaid's Madness by Jim C. Hines. This is, I think, some sort of aerial retelling. He seems to do a lot of those, and I think I've read one of his before and really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to read this one because I don't find a lot of aerial retellings. Next is The Storm Siren by Mary Weber. This is, again, a fantasy. A lot of these are because it's one of my fantasy shelves. I have the other 2 back in Colorado, which I forgot to bring up with me so my series could all be together, but that's okay. I would assume she has some sort of power that relates to storms. Then I have A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, and A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. I have read the first one, A Game of Thrones, and I thought it was fine. Not my favorite, not even remarkable, really, in the writing style, just very lengthy and not all that good. But I do want to read the rest of the books, simply because I dislike leaving series unread. Next, I have Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. I have not read anything by either of them, but I heard great things about Neil Gaiman and specifically about this book. Don't know what it's about though. Next up is one I found on BookTube, which is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I have a cousin who also loves Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if she's read this one, but I've heard great things about it. It's high fantasy. I'm excited to read it. Next up is Fate of Flames by Sarah Raleigh. This one sounds like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except with 4 girls who each have powers linked to one specific element: air, water, fire, earth. And there's only one of those girls at a time connected to each element. They have to save the world because what else are you going to do in a fantasy novel? Then I have 3 Dark Crowns and 1 Dark Throne by Kendar Blake. These are about princesses who have to kill each other because only one of them can be queen. I love the covers, I've heard great things, excited to read them, but I haven't yet. And then I have Loki's Wolves by K.L. Armstrong and M.A. Marr. This is clearly something to do with Loki. I love Norse mythology, and I thought, why not? It sounded good. Then we have Princess of Thorns by Stacey J. This is, at least it sounds like, a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. We have Snow White and Rose Red by Patricia C. Reed. I have read Patricia C. Reed's Enchanted Forest Chronicles. They were actually the books that got me into history, and I talk about that in my top fantasy books video, which I will link down below. So I know I like her writing and her plots. I think this is a retelling of Snow White. Now we're getting into books that you might have heard of a little bit more. Starting with Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. It may come as a bit of a shock that I haven't read this because I did read Crooked Kingdoms a couple of months ago. I thought it was good. Didn't live up to all the hype. I thought it was going to blow me away and it didn't, which is why I've been putting off reading this one because there are better books to read, to be honest. But I do want to read this book because I want to finish the duology and it won't take me that long. There are 6 people. In the first one, they conducted a heist. I don't know what happens in this one, though. So by Leigh Bardugo, I have the Grisha trilogy, which is Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. This one is a prequel series to the Crooked Kingdom duology set in the same universe. And then back to obscurity, we have The Dragon Queen by Alice Borchardt. I absolutely love Arthurian tales, Merlin, Arthur, the Round Table, Guinevere, the whole bit. And this one is about Guinevere. She is apparently a warrior, which, I mean, why not? In that vein, Guinevere, Queen of the Summer Country by Rosalind Miles. I've read something by Rosalind Miles before, except that I can't remember if I liked it or not, so I'm excited to see if I like this book. It's not a historical fact, which I think was the last book I read about her, and I didn't like that one. So this one should be interesting. Then I have Dragon's Price by Bethany Wiggins. This one is about a princess who can either go to a dragon or be sold off, I think in marriage. She chooses the dragon, and we start the story there. I don't know anything beyond that, but it sounded good and it involves dragons. Also, the cover is really cool. There is Half-Blood Dragon by K.N. Lee. Amazon recommendations, it has dragons, it was cheap. And the last book is The Map of Time by Felix J. Palma. I think there might be time travel involved in this because there's clocks and stuff on the front, but I am fairly certain it's some sort of fantasy sci-fi mix that involves time, clearly as a huge element. That is all I know, because like I said, it's been a while since I bought a lot of these books. But I do really want to read it. I just have this bad habit of buying before I read. So, this will be read this year, hopefully. I know that was a lot of books, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up down below. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. As a side note, if you have read any of these books, or you have any of these books on your TBR, please let me know so that I have some sort of idea where to start as opposed to just diving in blindly, because that could end badly for me. As always, I will leave my Goodreads link down below. Until the next video, bye!